Welcome back to the channel. It's February 19th, 2025. And for today's probably brief video, we're going to go to Southern California and Pastor Shane Idleman, who we've covered many times. Shane was once regarded as a fairly decent expositor and Bible man. And then he got kind of hit up the head with the Trump stick during COVID, and was one of those that railed against the government of California because, of course, he was Democrat and he worships the Republican Party. And I believe he opened his church at the height of the pandemic, reopened it, sticking his thumb in the eye of authority and violating Romans 13. And since then, he's been on a nonstop crusade for everything MAGA. I mean, he even went to like the America Fest hosted by political provocateur Charlie Kirk and like live streamed from there, like it was his Christian responsibility. His Facebook page is generally just loaded with disinformation because he only gets his news from right-wing sources. So he never considers whether or not he's being told the truth. I mean, he's flat out absolutely, posted absurd lies. Things that are easily debunked. I mean, he once, and it wasn't even like reposting, like he posted once that like, with the money we saved from USAID, we could pay off the debt. The debt's $371 trillion and USAID's budget is 40 billion. So, which is 0.0017% of the debt, because Jesus doesn't like math, I guess. So anyway, what I found interesting today on his page is this little sermon that a snippet rather from a sermon that he posted called "Why Idolatry is Sneaky," which I thought to be kind of amusing since he's so idolatrous when it comes to NAR dominionism. And I'm not sure if this is, I think this is kind of like a confession on his part. The clip is 4 minutes, but we're only going to listen to the first minute because the last 3 minutes have nothing to do with the idolatry being sneaky. But it's going to be interesting. So let's listen to Shane.
Idolatry is sneaky.
It is.
Because you don't make an idol and put it on your shelf and worship it. Today we call it an entertainment center. It's about 50 feet or 50 inches long. Poking fun, but kind of not, because it isn't true. Anything that zaps my time, I just uninstalled X for a while.
All right, well, I take that as kind of an admission because he's basically saying, listen, idolatry is sneaky, and it's not. He's right. He's right. It's not like we set up an idol, in pre, Christ days, and bow down to it, worshiping it, conceptually a god, false god. Instead, we create false gods, and we don't recognize that we're bowing down to them. And I guess he's saying that he was worshiping the things that he would follow and repost on X. And in fairness to Shane, the majority of his posts on Facebook, since he's apparently taking this break from X, are more Christian related. They are more, teaching and not political. Because when he talks about things like fasting, he seems to be pretty spot on. It's just that he's led down this political path. And I guess what really worries me is he's like, I'm taking a break from X. So basically, I'm assuming the political Shane Idleman is going to come back at some point. And this is not so. It's not so much that he recognizes what he's doing is wrong, as much as he's recognizing that it's taking up too much of his time and maybe taking away from, I don't know, the fact that he's supposed to be a pastor. And if that's the case, hey, fantastic. At least, enjoy the ride while we got it until he comes back and starts posting, Trump memes again.
And it's like, goodness. The next appointment, are they getting an appointment? Is this going on? I mean, what's Doge discovering today?
It's Doge isn't discovering anything today. That's the point. See, the sad thing is it would be so much better if he would recognize that he's being lied to and then thus he's lying and misleading other people. But that's not what he's saying. He's basically saying that he would just obsess about, like whose appointment is being being confirmed today for Trump's cabinet. I mean, he made like some absurd post about that, claiming like Tulsi Gabbard is somehow going to be doing the Lord's work, and congratulating RFK, who thinks like the polio vaccine isn't effective. So it's it's sad that he's so close. He's so close to understanding the true error of his ways. And I'm glad that he's taken the break from X, because that's a break for the body of Christ from his ridiculousness. But even in explaining it, he's basically still saying like what's Doge discovering? Like what they're doing is somehow Christian. The fact that they lied yesterday about that there are 150-year-old people receiving Social Security when they know full well it was a coding issue.
At the end of the day, they're either not going to be able to extend the tax cut.
Sorry about that. I don't know why my phone just suddenly went off, but it's the Doge team. You have the one guy who posted things like he believes in eugenics-based immigration, and he wanted to normalize Indian hate. They hired that guy back. Then you got the guy who's 19 years old and his name is Big Balls. And, you got the other guy who was fired from his previous job for posting company secrets online. So, maybe you shouldn't be celebrating from an American standpoint, let alone a Christian standpoint, that, what's Doge finding out today? Let's continue.
I'm still shell shocked.
Yeah.
There's some criminal activity going on.
Yeah. And it's going on from the people that you worship. That's the sad thing again. It's just to be clear, and I try to talk about, the NAR and dominionism from a Christian standpoint, not from a political standpoint, but the truth is the truth. Okay. And what the paradigm that they've set up is the previous administration was of a different party and a different belief system. So the Trump administration comes in and naturally they would want to change priorities, which is perfectly acceptable in the way our government is built. But instead of simply changing the priorities, instead of identifying the programs or the things that they feel like they don't want to support because they don't ideologically line up with themselves, they're just eradicating the entire process. They're just destroying the agencies. They're laying off hundreds of thousands of workers. And if you think that it's a coincidence that we've had like 3, mid-air plane crashes in the last 3 weeks, including another one today, I got some stories to sell you about 150-year-olds collecting Social Security. Social Security system was created in 1935. So how is it that you're looking at data where 7-point-some odd million people all have the same birthday from 1875, and you somehow think that that's representative of something fraudulent, as opposed to a coding issue? It defies the logic. It insults the intelligence. And Christians should be smarter. We shouldn't be following this stuff, the stuff that Shane, even though I'm glad he's taking a break, he clearly still idolatrous about.
Billions of your money.
Yeah, billions of your money. Just so we understand, again, the budget of this country is like, I don't know, $6 or $7 trillion. It is primarily made up of defense, Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. So unless you're going to actually touch one of those areas, you're talking about less than 1% of the budget. So yes, it's a lot of money when it goes billions and billions, but ultimately that's like a correcting error. So it's a rounding error when it comes to the national budget. So it's again trying to the way that the political forces that want to destroy things like Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid, and maybe that's your position, but it's not very Christian in my opinion. It's bad enough that when you cut off the USAID aid to other countries, we've already killed one little old lady in Thailand who needed oxygen. We stopped giving it to her. But to think that we're going to do it to our own people, and somehow rally around it as the church, like the number one topic in the Bible after salvation is taking care of the least in society. It's not money, it's not prosperity, it's not life. It is taking care of the least in society. What you've done for the least of these, you have done unto me. And I'm sorry, but saying, well, I gave $100 to my local food bank while I was advocating for the destruction of our government that helps, millions of people around the world, that's not really balanced. It's the Bible says we'll be held to account for every careless word, let alone deed, or what we support. It does matter. And it matters to the world, what the witness for the church is.
The teacher shouldn't talk about that, really? Since when?
Since always. Since you're defiling the pulpit that you have been entrusted with the gospel of Jesus Christ, and you're defiling it. That's what you're doing, Shane Idleman. You do it all the time. The politics of this world are the politics of this world. And what Jesus said when he walked the earth is, I'm not of this world. My kingdom's not of this world. So save me your NAR, dominionist, bovine excrement talking points. You are not supposed to preach politics from the pulpit. Do you know why? Because neither party is righteous. But you want to confer righteousness upon the political choices that you've made. But they're not righteous. The best you can ever do is say that you've tried to decipher the lesser of two evils, but you lose sight of the fact that you're still advocating for evil at the end of the day. Good luck explaining that to Christ, okay? Donald Trump is a convicted rapist with 34 other felonies. He cheated on his first wife with his second wife and his third wife with a porn star. He's not Nehemiah. He's not King Jehu. He's not King Cyrus. He's not Elijah, as Mark Driscoll tweeted out the day after the inauguration. He is a man, just like any other man. And if you come to the conclusion politically he's the best of this country, that's your right politically. But it has nothing to do with the cause of Jesus Christ. Don't wrap him up in Jesus, because he doesn't know Jesus. I wish he did. And we should pray for him, just like we should pray for all leaders. But I don't hear a lot of people like Shane Idleman talking about praying when it was Joe Biden as president. All I heard was him attacking people like Joe Biden when he was president, not praying for him. And that hypocrisy is not lost on the world.
Jesus talked a lot about